Baseball is a weird sport. The MLB Draft certainly hits the description of unusual. When you watch the NFL or NBA Draft, you see the players who were selected on their team immediately. Bryce Young was the #1 overall pick in the NFL Draft this season, and we've already seen him in training camp with the Panthers, and he will also be on their Week 1 roster. When Christian Braun was selected by the Denver Nuggets in the 2022 NBA Draft, we saw him win a championship that very next season. In baseball, we watch the draft but don't hear about the selected players in MLB for years. What happens to baseball players after they're drafted? I'll get into it right after this. This video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. In Underdog's Pick'em game, you simply answer higher or lower on stat categories like strikeouts, hits, home runs, and many more. Select between 2 and 5 players to win up to 20 times your money in one night. With code SRS, Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. Underdog's Pick'em system is a great alternative to long and frustrating fantasy baseball seasons. Pick'ems are available in 30 US states, so check out this map to see if your state is eligible. And again, be sure to sign up using promo code SRS and Underdog will double your first deposit for up to $100. You can sign up today at underdogfantasy.com or at Underdog Fantasy in the App Store. To make it even easier on ya, you can just scan the QR code on your screen, you'll get signed up, and your first deposit will be doubled using that promo code SRS. I want to give a huge thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video today. And remember, please always play responsibly. Major League Baseball is constructed with a special player development system called Minor League Baseball. Each Major League team has 4 minor league affiliates: Single A, High A, Double A, and Triple A. Plus, teams have rookie and fall league teams at their spring training sites in Arizona and Florida. These teams are made up of players who are signed with major league clubs but aren't on their active roster. These players are still developing and trying to advance to the majors. This is called a farm system. I know this just sounds like a description of minor league baseball, but stick with me. Understanding the minors is important to be able to understand the draft. A team's farm system is made up of players who signed as free agents, players claimed off waivers, players who were traded, and most importantly, players who are draft picks. In this year's MLB Draft, 614 players were selected by 30 major league teams across 20 rounds. Alright, so a player gets drafted. What's next? It gets complicated. Real quick, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button to keep up with all things Raving sports and never miss another video. Back to the draft. The obvious next step for a draft pick is to sign a contract. Picks in the MLB Draft have a slot value. This is a projected value for players selected in each pick of the first 10 rounds of the draft. While these numbers are just a suggested value, teams only have a little wiggle room because of their total bonus pool. A total bonus pool is the sum of slot values for every pick for a single team. If a team can secure a certain pick for less than their slot value, that means they can give a different player more than their slot value. Let's look at the 2023 draft. The #1 pick slot value was $9.72 million. The #2 pick was $9 million, #3 was $8.34 million, and so on. The lower the draft pick, the lower the slot value. The Pittsburgh Pirates had the largest total bonus pool this year at $16,185,700. They were able to use that sum across all 21 of their draft picks. Let's look at their first round pick, Paul Skenes. The LSU flamethrower had the slot value of $9.72 million in the #1 overall slot. In this situation, Skenes and Pittsburgh were both able to negotiate the contract. Skenes had the chance to ask for higher than his slot value since he had the option to return to college and take a chance at next year's draft. Yes, players can choose to not take their draft pick. We'll get into that a little later. The Pirates, on the other hand, could offer Skenes less than his slot value in hopes he wants to play for their organization. While we don't know what negotiations went on behind closed doors here, we do know a contract was signed. Skenes signed for $9.2 million. While that number is below his slot value, it is the largest MLB draft bonus ever given to a player. The previous record was held by Spencer Torkelson, who got $8.416 million in the 2020 draft. What you should get from this is there's big money in the MLB Draft. So, a contract is signed. What's next? The decision is made by a team's director of player development and other executives. For the most part, new draft picks will play in either the Arizona Complex League or the Florida Complex League, both rookie leagues. Each of these leagues play 56 game seasons compared to between 132 and 150 games in the upper levels of the minors. This allows for players to have more practice days and get conditioned to play every day. There are more development coaches at these locations as well. Let's go back to Paul Skenes. The ace was drafted on July 9th, signed with the Pirates on July 18th, and played his first professional game on August 10th. His pro debut came in the Florida Complex League. Even the number 1 draft pick doesn't get to jump straight to the show. He started at the lowest level of minor league baseball. That doesn't mean he's not a good player, that's just how it works for MLB draft picks. Player development and farm directors take many things into account when deciding where a draft pick should go. One important piece of that is the timing of the MLB draft. Unlike any other professional sport, the MLB draft happens in the middle of the season, and it takes place just a few weeks following the conclusion of college and high school seasons. Draft picks have already played up to 75 games in the springtime. Paul Skenes threw 122 2/3 innings in the spring, a total that professional players reach in an entire 100-plus game season. Due to his high workload in his college season, the Pirates wouldn't want to throw him in the rest of a full minor league season right away. That's why rookie ball is called, well, rookie ball. It is built for new players to go to start their first season. Sometimes, players don't even play in live games at all in their first year under contract. This is all decided on a case-to-case basis for each player in each organization. There are so many more things that can affect where a player lands, but another important one is age. A draft pick who played multiple years in college is much more likely to start at a higher level than an 18-year-old high school pick. Of course, skill level and performance are more big pieces to the puzzle. If a player is outstanding at rookie ball or at any other level, they are going to be promoted. Looking at some other picks in the 2023 draft, some are already playing at higher minor league levels. The number 2 pick, Dylan Cruz, is with the Washington Nationals Single-A team. He played just 1 game in the Florida Complex League before being sent to Single-A. Wyatt Langford started in the Rookie League, skipped Single-A, and is now playing with the Texas Rangers High-A team. Nolan Shanuel is already playing Double-A for the Angels. He started at the rookie level, moved to Single-A, and then went straight to Double-A. Looking at the 30 first-round draft picks this year, 14 are in rookie ball, 5 are in Single-A, 7 are in High-A, 2 are in Double-A, and 2 have not yet played. When you look at later rounds in the draft, the majority of players are in rookie ball or haven't played this season. So, it makes sense where players go right after they're drafted. But why do we still not hear about them? If you're an avid baseball fan, you will still know what's going on with the minor leagues, but for casual fans, they won't know much at all. It can take anywhere from a couple of months to 10 or more years for a player to reach the show, and many never make it at all. During the time these players are moving through the minor leagues, they are not often talked about in a general sense. On national baseball broadcasts and even team broadcasts, you won't hear too much about a team's farm system. Publications like ESPN, MLB.com, and more are generally just talking about Major League Baseball, so most fans are only seeing what's going on in the majors. While the 162-game MLB season is going on, thousands of minor league games are being played at the same time. The players you've seen in the MLB draft are still playing baseball, you are probably just not hearing about it. When will you hear about this year's draft picks again? Like anything, only time will tell. For a player like Paul Skenes, you could see him playing in the big leagues as soon as next season. For those picked in the later rounds of the draft, it could be years till you see them playing for your favorite team. MLB draft picks have to work their way through the minor league system before they get a shot at the big leagues. If you don't usually watch minor league baseball, I highly recommend it. Keep up with the players selected in this year's draft as they progress through the minors. If you need a team to watch, check out the Iowa Cubs, the Chicago Cubs AAA team. I promise they are a ton of fun to watch. I might be a little biased though. What else can happen to a player after they're drafted? The other outcome is to not come to a contract agreement. There are many different reasons this can happen. The most common reason is for a player to elect to play in college the next season. If they are picked in a later round, they can opt to play collegiate ball in hopes of getting picked in a higher spot later in their career. Like I mentioned earlier, Paul Skenes could have denied his pick to play his final season at LSU. It's most common with high school picks who want to go to college. A contract may also not be signed due to a team decision. Sometimes players won't pass their physical or players ask for too much money. There have been instances where a contract is never even offered. Most recently, the New York Mets and Kumar Rocker did not come to an agreement after the 2021 draft. Rocker was the number 10 overall pick in the draft. After seeing the pitcher's physical, the Mets decided not to offer Rocker a contract. Because he did not sign, Rocker pitched another season. He was selected as the 3rd overall pick the following year, so his going back proved successful for him. There you have it. A look into what happens to players after they're selected in the MLB Draft. For the most part, you can find draft picks playing minor league baseball, working their way to a chance to make it to the show. It may be a couple months or it may be a couple years until you see top draft picks emerge in the spotlight again after draft day. While you absolutely should keep watching Major League Baseball, check out the minors too. This year's draft was stacked, so there's no better time to start following players from draft day to their big league debut than now.